So today I'm using the mark making tools I made on my last video, and I made these out of some mount board and some hot glue, so you can check that video out. I'll link it at the end. I rolled out a thin layer of gold metallic paint and some textile medium mixed together onto my two jelly plates, and used the tools by just popping those onto the plates and the card, and all it is just like little streaks of glue, hot glue, on a small piece, a small strip of this mount board, and it's just worked so well, and I absolutely love the way that it turned out. So once I had taken off some of the paint using the stamping tools, I then added some brown paint which was mixed with the textile medium. This textile medium is absolutely fantastic. You can add it to any acrylic paint and you mix it together, and then that makes a fabric paint basically that then in theory can be washed. Now you do have to set it with an iron, and I do that later, so I'll show you that later, but it's absolutely fantastic for making your paints into textile paint. I don't use it very often, but you can see I've got this bottle. I've had it for absolutely years, and it has lasted me a very, very long time because you can be quite frugal with it. So this is the brown paint that I added on. Now I mixed it directly onto the gel paint, so I let the first layer dry so that it didn't disturb that first layer after I'd done the stamping, and then just layered on a really thin layer of that brown paint which I mixed on the plate on the right hand side. So it was a little bit gloopy to start with because my brown paint was really dried up. It still worked perfect. I'm using quite open texture linen fabric on these. I'm doing a natural colour linen and also a gorgeous black. Just peeling that off there, you can see the wonderful marks that those little stamps had made. I have found that some of it didn't come up. Now I don't know whether that was because it was in my rush to remove it quickly from the plate, because I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to these things. I have to move myself from the area in order to let it dry, otherwise I want to just pull it off straight away. So this one there was a small amount left on the plate, the gel plate, but most of it came up, and to be honest with you, a little bit of white space like that isn't any biggie. It still looks really cool, and when I iron it, actually you can hardly tell, to be honest with you. You do have to be careful when laying your fabric down whether you allow any of the little strings, the little frayed pieces, to go onto your work. So do be careful, because obviously that will then leave a white space potentially, because it will be lifting some of the paint off the gel plate. You'll see later what I mean. Now this particular one here, the black one, it's absolutely gorgeous, but I did notice that it left quite a lot of the paint still on the gel plate. Now I do wonder whether maybe I had let it dry a little bit too much when I put the fabric down on it. I don't know whether that was the case, but I pulled it off. There's still a lot of paint left on it, but it still looks absolutely gorgeous, and I love the effect because you can see that gorgeous, really deep colour behind it, and it looks so impressive because you've got a gorgeous metallic, and also the brown sort of mixed in with it, and also there was some paint on the corner, and this is what this one looks like. Look at that, it's absolutely fantastic. It's so rustic. I absolutely love the effect. Now some of it was a little bit sort of bitty on top, so you can sort of see it's almost flaked on top, but the iron sorts that out straight away, so it's not a problem. Now I've put the gel plate away in the same state, so next time I pull something off it and add some more paint to it, I'm going to get that gorgeous gold sparkle pulling up as well. So I'm looking forward to that, because that'll just be a continuation of what I'm doing. But I've put the plates away for now. You can see some of the marks in the background that I got from adding the stencils and the stamps that I did when I was preparing it. So that's the first two that I did. You can see the difference there between the two plates. One's still got loads of paint left on and one has hardly anything. So I think it was probably more to do with putting the fabric on. The one on the left hand side, I probably put it on there quicker than the one on the right hand side, and it had more chance for it to actually dry on the actual fabric. You'll have to let me know if you've done gel printing on fabric, because obviously if you've got any tips, they're gratefully received. Do let me know. So this is what I've been using, the textile medium. It is 2 parts acrylic to 1 part medium. It was very inexpensive, and I only got it from, I think it was the Works at oh no, what does it say on there, One Stop, something like that. Anyway, it was donkeys years ago that I bought it. Now I've moved over to a different fabric paint for this one because the other paint was really quite thick and gloopy, so I've moved over to one of my fresco finish paints. I think that's what it's called, Paper Artsy I think it was. So again, I just rolled a really thin layer, and we've gone over with a little bit of the gold, and there's still some blue on the corners, and I used that gorgeous rose. It wasn't really a rose, my daughter said she thought it looked like a rose, but it was the stencil that I made using the hot glue, and I just sort of did loops, and it gave a lovely sort of rose looking appearance. And this one here was just using, I think I just stamped into it, and I did try on this one to pick up, I tried to do an image transfer, but it didn't work very well, so I've got quite a bit of the brown space on there. Anyway, moving on, what I need to do next is heat set these, because obviously it's got textile medium in. So what I do is get my new ironing board out. Brilliant, got it from IKEA. It was only £5, and you can hang it up, so it's fantastic for the craft room. I protected it with one of my husband's old shirts that he's thrown out, and I also used some parchment paper over the top of the textiles, because obviously I don't want the acrylic sticking to my iron. Now I did crank the iron up. I can't remember what it actually said on the instructions what you're supposed to do, but I cranked the iron right up to 3 spots, and ironed it on, and that had the effect of really sort of flattening it out, so it's very, very smooth now, and it makes all of the marks on the textile really, really evident. So I'm really pleased with the way that that came out. It's absolutely fantastic, and I love the feel of it as well. It's sort of really super soft on top. This one here was on some very light linen, so this is the one with the sort of the rose design, as it were, that my daughter said, and it was actually really, really crinkly, so I wasn't sure how well this would iron, because you know what linen's like, it's really difficult to iron sometimes. It's quite difficult to get the creases out of, but it came out really well. It's still a little bit creased. Obviously it doesn't matter for the purpose I'm doing it for, but just bear in mind, obviously, if you're using a very creased medium, you are possibly still going to have the creased effect, and it might actually make a difference to the way it is printed on when you're using the gel plate as well. So this is the more open weave thick linen that I used, and I absolutely love the effect of this one. It was a little bit bitty, and you can see where it didn't quite pull off the plate. There was still some bits of the gold left over on the plate, but I just think that adds to it. It looks really rustic, and I absolutely love it. You can only see a small amount of the brown, but that sort of comes through where I did the stamping. And this is the brown one, which I did on the very light linen, the creased linen. And here again, like I said, you've got to be ever so careful, because when you're ironing it, you can iron in a few creases as well. So but it looks great because you've got all these different textures and creases, and that's where I accidentally left a little bit of the thread on the plate as well, so you can see it lifted some of it off. But it just looks brilliant. It just looks very organic, just really abstract, and I absolutely love them, and I'm really looking forward to using them. Now the problem is, because they're so unique and I love them all so much, I love the colours that I've used, I love the gold, I love the patterns, how it's turned out so beautifully, I'm now in danger of hoarding them, so I need to make sure I get on and use them straight away. So thanks very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this video. If you have, give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Let me know if you've done something similar, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.